right, let's rock is right. Hell yeah. You got your cards, everybody collective indie? Nice.
Yesterday, or no, Friday, I was doing can you guys hear me okay? I'm like a little phone booth here.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty cool. Nice lights. I like it.
Cool, good. I mean, this is when I'm getting my mansion. I'm building myself something like this. But I was doing mystery packs. Some guy comes into our stream, Politico. He's like, "Yo, just got to give you a shout out. I'm so excited for Sunday. I went 7 out of 8 picks that Cage gave. So whenever there he is, Politico, truth
There he
serum right
is.
now.
What's
Did
up,
I
Politico
say
Props?
anything wrong? Did I say anything wrong?
Takes him a second. It's all right. Raiders. A little hard to hear, but I can see you guys. Tony! Yo, killed the last 16-4, including the
Cage,
props against the spread.
Pin a giveaway for these guys because it'll help with our algorithm and all that stuff.
Hell yeah. Let me do it. Go ahead. So talk about this fun stuff.
Talk about this fun stuff.
Talk about how we were 7-8. Politico. We're gonna do a giveaway. Dude, you got to talk while I'm doing a giveaway. You told me to do something, so say something, or I can talk and you do a giveaway, which you can't do because it's my account. Oh my God, you can't filibuster for 30 seconds to talk about sports. Here we go, giveaway.
Justin Herbert. Is Justin Herbert stupid or is he tough as nails? So 2 hours before the game.
Yep.
2 hours before the game, he wants to get an injection so he could play. Now, is that smart? We're talking about week 3. You got to see the big picture. I think it's a little bit reckless. Bruised ribs take 1-2 weeks. Your team will do fine. It would actually allow you the rest of your team to step up and kind of rally around him. That's my thoughts. I mean,
is he doing it? He has like broken rib cartilage. So, it's a lot of fun. He has broken rib cartilage. And yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. We'll do a giveaway. I got to put shipping, even though there's no shipping cost. So it'll cost us a little bit of money, but it is what it is.
Well, we're not going to draw the giveaway. It's just whenever there's a giveaway pin, it helps our follower count. We'll do giveaways on using the Optic Cage.
That's what I put in here. Yeah. Panini pack ripped and sent. So I'm going to rip a pack open and send it. So last I heard on Herbert was he was still deciding whether he was going to take that injection, which is the same one we talked about, the Tyrod Taylor one that, and the punctured his lung, last year. So who the heck knows? I mean, I don't know if he's going to do it, not do it, but it's definitely factoring into our pick for the day. I got to tell you that much. This morning he wanted to. You're right. Why don't I give you guys our props right off the bat? Give you guys an hour and a half to get in there and put the props in. I could just run through the 5 props. It's funny, guys. I don't know how much longer you guys are getting all this stuff for free. I don't know. We may have to put a paywall up. We may have to, because when you go 16-4, I got a bunch of calls this morning. Give me the picks. Give me the plays. Give me the picks. Let's go. Give me the picks.
Yesterday on Jay Lee, you were pumping your chest like this about how we're never going to charge for paywalls.
Well, we're never going to charge. So that was my joke, obviously. Although I got to tell you, there may be some special, call Cage and, you send me $1, I give you the picks. No, listen, we only missed the Devontae Adams one, right? We would have swept the week. We went 4-1 on props. We only missed one. We hit everything else. The Devontae Adams ones is funny. I'm not going back to the well on that, but you might want to take a look at Devontae Adams' receptions because there's been a lot of chatter all week in the Raiders clubhouse about how he left early after last week's game. He wasn't happy, even though obviously Carr was looking for him in the beginning. He caught the first touchdown of the game. So you might want to look at his numbers for receptions. I'm sure Carr wants to get that over with. And the easiest way to have the press stop talking about drama is to show that there's no drama and get that guy get him his catches, get him his yards. So I would look back on Adam's stuff. But I got some fun props, man. There's one prop. It's at BetMGM -110. You could probably find this, on all of your books, but it's basically will Tua throw an interception? It's over under a half an interception. I hate that they do it like that, but it's over half an interception. So basically you're betting that Tua will throw an interception. It's an even money bet. And I don't understand that. To me, some of these props look like free money. I'm betting that Tua just had the game of his career last week. And everybody's talking about how he had 469 yards through the air, 6 touchdowns, which is like the second most in a game, tied with like a million other quarterbacks and all kinds of stuff, right? But you know what people forget to mention? That he threw 2 interceptions in the first half of the game. And he is an interception thrower for his whole career. So to me, this is almost lock money, right? 6 touchdown Tua, that's hit his new name. The Bills defense, who he's playing against, they're an opportunistic defense, and they take advantage of Tua's mistakes, and I think he's going to make them. In his 3 career games against the Bills, he's thrown for 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. Let's say that again. He's had 3 games against them and thrown for 4 picks. Well, and that was with him being knocked out early in the first matchup last season. He probably would have thrown more interceptions. Get this. That's the history of Tua and the Bills. The Bills this year lead the league in interceptions. So you got a guy who throws picks playing against an opportunistic defense that creates picks. Yeah, safety, I say his name Poyer, but I don't know if it's Poyer or Poyer. I don't know, but Jordan Poyer, he's got an injured foot, may or may not play. He's questionable. But everybody on that roster, generates turnovers. So this is one where if you can find the line, like I said, I'm looking at it at BetMGM minus 110. If you can find a line on betting that Tua has a pick, this is one I think you're in first quarter, second quarter, and at halftime. Right, Tony Harley, you're at the book, you're drinking your drink, and you're smiling because you already have a betting slip that you're going to cash. So I love that.
Is Tony at Beckett's Summit?
No, that's not till next week, I don't think. I think he's just out in Vegas doing some fun stuff. All right, so that's one prop I see coming in pretty early. Here's another prop because it's over on yards. It won't hit by halftime, but I think it hits in the third quarter. Give me your favorite son in Philly, A.J. Brown, over 71 receiving yards at DraftKings minus 115. Again, a wrong print. This has Amon-Ra St. Brown type of number on it. It's that the Vegas guys haven't caught up yet with what the offense is doing and how they're throwing it, not to mention how the first 2 games went. A.J. Brown will go over 100 this game. So in 2 weeks, A.J. Brown's averaging 7.5 receptions, 112 yards on 10.5 targets per game. All right? That's pretty good numbers for a new guy on the team. So clearly his chemistry with Hurts is there. But add that in, the Eagles have been up by significant margins in both games. So they haven't actually had to throw. At the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, these are guys who had, double-digit leads in both games. Last week against Minnesota, the Eagles threw their last pass with 8 minutes left in the game. So there was still a huge chunk of the game. They didn't throw a pass to anyone, let alone to A.J. Brown. Brown saw his last target with 14 minutes left in the game. They didn't have to target him until the third quarter. He still cleared this number by a long shot. Through 2 weeks, they're playing in Washington. The Commanders are allowing opposing wideouts to average 12 targets, 7.5 catches, and 116 receiving yards per. A 71 number on this is just the wrong print. 71 yards, missed a 10.5 reps. That's right. So the defense he's playing against allows an average of 116. He's averaged 112 in blowout games. He's getting over 100 today. The 71 is an easy print for him. Like I said, I think he gets it by the third quarter, right? The Eagles can run the ball, right? I like that. I mean, the Eagles, they do this right. They play well, right? And they can run the ball better than the Detroit Lions and the Jags did against Commanders. But it still hurts. Hurts is trying to show people that he's a throwing quarterback. He gets the running touchdowns, but the game plan for him is very different than it's been with somebody like Fields, right? As long as this game doesn't become a huge blowout, which it shouldn't, because Washington's actually been able to put up points and keep up with people, I think Brown hits this number pretty easy. Pretty confident with this one. And this is one where the line's low because people expect him to have, growing pains, chemistry, you name it, the whole deal. But I'm telling you, this is it. This is one. Go ahead. You need a break?
Can
you just said something, and then you.
Okay, so I'm gonna get these off.
Now you're back. Do you need to throw something in or no?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
I can hear you.
Okay. So you have a hard stop at 12:30, right? We're going 1 hour today.
Yep. So I'm going to do all the props, and then I'm going to do all the picks.
Okay. I just want people to know because Cage is going to go rapid fire for these guys today. So they're ready. So they have their note sheet out because he might not have a chance to, recap or go back. You're going 1 hour, 12:30, hard stop, right?
That's right. 1 hour. Well, a little more than an hour because it's not even 11:30 yet. Pick prop number 3. I love this one, guys. Absolutely love this one because this is one where the lines will catch up, but you get to take advantage of it because the offense is using this guy differently than he was used last year. So a little confusing guy, right? Cordero Patterson. I love him, right? I love him. Swiss Army knife, you name it. He's, running back, wide receiver, right? Confusing piece to figure out through 2 weeks, right, compared to last season. Early last year, the Falcons are using him mostly as a receiver. They hadn't figured out yet that he was actually their best running back. using him in the receiving game. In 2022, that flipped a little bit, right? Through 2 weeks, he only has 3 catches on 6 targets for 16 yards. Even though he's a wide receiver, they haven't really given him much of an opportunity over there. In 4 of the first 5 games last year, he had 5 or more catches and 58 or more yards in each of those 4 games. So clearly this year, as long as they're not trailing by a lot, they want him in the game. They want him running the ball. They want the ball in his hands. They think that gives them their best opportunity to keep pounding the ball, keep games close. In week 2 loss, it was a huge comeback, right? So they were down big, so they weren't running, but he had 41 yards in that game. And in week 1, when they led for most of the game, he had 22 carries for 120 yards. That's legit like running back numbers. We're talking about Cordaro Patterson, over 41 rushing yards. BetMGM has it at minus 115, right? The Seahawks have allowed the 8th most rushing yards to opposing backs. They've allowed 4 different ball carriers in 2 weeks to go over this 41-yard mark. So that's 2 backs per team to go over this yard mark. Their offense doesn't run up high scores, not at a high pace. They're not blowing anyone out. This has all the makings of either the Falcons being up and handing Patterson the ball to manage the clock and run the ball and power through the tackles, or it's a close enough game where they don't have to throw and come from behind. I see Patterson closer to that 120 yards he had in week 1 versus the 41 yards he had in week 2. The 41 yards in week 2, they were way down. They're not going to be way down in this game. And even that 41 is exactly the print. So I love Cordaro Patterson over 41 rushing yards at BetMGM minus 115. Fun one, right? Because this is one last season early in the year. You'd be like, he's not going to have 41 rushing yards. Over 41 receiving yards, sure. But they're using him completely differently this year. And this matchup leads me to believe he's going to have those rushing yards. He breaks a 25 or 30-yard run off in the second quarter, and you hit this 41 early. So that's my third one. Fourth one, Brandon Cooks over 60 receiving yards. Again, BetMGM has this at minus 110. This is the Houston Texans wide receiver, Brandon Cooks. He is the whole Houston passing attack, leads the team in targets, receptions, and yards through 2 weeks. He's averaging 68 yards per game, which is not significantly higher than the 60 number that the print is. But here's why I like this one. Lovie Smith, fun coach. This week he's been talking about how the team needs to run the ball more. They're going to run the ball more. One, I think that's BS. I think it's a smokescreen so that he can actually let Davis Mills throw the ball. You know, when you go out there and announce we're going to run the ball more, the other team starts to try to defend against the run, and you come out there and throw it. So I think that actually helps Cooks. But more importantly, he can say whatever he wants. The Bears' defense is bad against the pass and good against the run. So for the Texans to do anything here, they're going to have to pass the ball. So the Bears are giving up 15th, like the middle of the league, in passing yards to wide receivers. And some of those numbers are kind of crappy, right? Because they played against the Green Bay Packers team that was leading for most of the game, didn't have to pass, and it was, horrible weather there anyway. I know Houston may want to run the ball more, but they're not going to be that good at it. Cooks is going to have a big game today. So Cooks over 60, 60.5 in some places. That one's coming in also.
Cooks, A.J. Brown, Tua interception.
And Cordaro Patterson rushing yards. Last one, and this, guys, I saved the best for last. This may be my favorite one, all right?
Hit the hearts.
My favorite one. Hit the hearts. It's like the prop lock, and it'll roll into the lock bet of the week also, which is going to be the Bengals beating the hell out of the Jets because Joe Burrow's not going 0-3. He's got to come out there today, and Jamar Chase is going to have 400 yards receiving for my man Andrew. But
I have a Jamar Chase card in the PWCC Weekly, a Pop 1 certified gold rookie. It's $44 right now.
There you go. Well, he's going to have a game today. No sweat at all. So because the Bengals are going to have a great game, because the Bengals are going to be firing on all cylinders and be putting up points, it means the Jet offense is going to have to do what to try to keep up? They're going to have to throw the ball. Exactly. And I'm not banking on any one of their receivers to specifically have it because every week there's a different person. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, you never know which one's going to be. But you know who has been steady? In order to catch the ball, somebody's got to actually throw it, right? So this one here, if there's such a thing as a trap prop, this is it, right? But I don't care. He's getting this number, right? Through 2 weeks, Joe Flacco has 59 and 44 passing attempts. Why? It's a high volume passing attempts because the team's been behind in both games. Of the 146 plays run by their offense, the Jets have been leading for just the one play, which was the kneel down to end the game last week, right? So they've been behind basically all season. the team's running backs are doing well. They're actually averaging 5.2 yards per carry this season, but it doesn't make a difference because when you're behind, you don't hand the ball off, you have to throw it. The Bengals desperately need a win here in week 3. They're 0-2 back-to-back weeks on field goals as time expired in overtime and regulation. Think about that for a second. They could just as easily be 2-0. They're instead 0-2, a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. Their defense is holding up very well against the run. They're only allowing about 3.4 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Their offense is not protecting Joe Burrow, but they need a win. That's going to come on Burrow's back. Flacco and the Jets are going to be forced to drop back and throw the ball around. And even though he has had 59 and 44 pass attempts, the print is 35.5. His passing attempts is only 35.5. I think he...
Oh, you're going past it. You're not going yards.
Over in attempts.
I wanted to add a little bit to this. So 2020, 2021, Flacco had 6 touchdowns in 2020, 3 touchdowns in 2021. Now think about this. This is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. This guy's he's had a good career. He's had a good career, even though he's... Imagine now getting the opportunity to start. He's not going to go out without swinging. He's going to go out on his own terms. What does he have to lose now? So... I thought you were going to go over passing yards.
No, because I like that he's just going to be back there throwing, and whether it's caught or not, whether it's dinks and dunks, whether he is got to throw to the running backs or short crossing patterns, like he may get 60 yards on a drive, but use 12 passes complete and 6 incompletions to get there. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been an explosive offense. That kid Garrett Wilson looks pretty good actually, but I just think the attempts are there, and you've seen it the last 2 weeks, and I don't see any real recipe for the Jets to be, up in this game and trying to grind the clock and run the ball. I just don't see that happening. So I think the 35 number for attempts is, it might be my favorite one of the week. I like all 5 of these, which is why I'm giving to you guys. But this one here, Flacco passing attempts, I just think he's just going to be throwing. They're just going to be drop back throw. Does anyone know what the first 3 props were? I'll go over them real quick for you guys because we're doing this kind of rapid fire, so I apologize. Well, I'll run through them, all 5 now on the props, and then we'll go to the games.
Rapid fire. This is how Cage talks. This is 3 years of Cage rapid fire, and I had to take all these bullets. I'm like, all right.
Boom, rapid fire.
And when he gets going, he's like, you're the boss. You are Jerome Bettis. You are the Jerome Bettis of podcasting.
How did I do last night in a 2-hour marathon with Jay Lee? I paid you some compliments. We had a lot of our guys on there asking.
You said that we're polar opposites. Where's the compliment?
That you're the engine that makes the whole thing go. No?
Polar opposites. He's like, he doesn't think about stuff, he just does it.
Yeah. Am I wrong?
When I smoke the flowers, what do you think I do? That's all I do. That's creative. That's brainstorming.
But what I said is I just think and don't do. It's great stuff. Thanks, Manny. I mentioned thick boys. Anyway, so here we go. Tua will throw an interception. Even money on that. I think he throws 2 interceptions. So if you can get some fun lines, will he throw more than 1.5? And you get like double the money on that? Sure, go for it. But Tua will throw an interception. A.J. Brown will have over 71 receiving yards. Cordaro Patterson will have over 41 rushing yards. Brandon Cooks will have over 60 receiving yards. And Joe Flacco will have over 35.5 passing attempts. Those are your props for the day. Love it, guys. We can get into the picks now. Anyone want picks of the props? Let me know. Mr. 10.5, you are the man. Flacco over Flacco. Burrow's going to have a good game today. He is. And because he has a good game and puts up the points, Flacco's going to have to throw. I don't know whether Burrow will have the attempts numbers, Mr. 10.5. I think Flacco is going to have to throw the ball, whether he's got success with it or not. He's just going to be, they're going to keep running him out there and throw. It's the attempts that they're going to hit. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. The picks against the spread. Guys, I will tell you as we do these sort of my analysis and my confidence level. There are 2 games this week that I will give you my pick on, and I will tell you that in both of these games, and Andrew could look it up on Action Network and give you kind of like an update if he wants, but both of these are potential traps where so much money is on it from the betting side, from the public side, that's always a concern. And Andrew can kind of give you a 5-minute of what that means, right? Like the smart money, Vegas, putting the odds out there. I'll talk about those in a second. I'll tell you the confidence level in these games, but you know what I do. I check. I'll give you a pick on every game, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are on them. But we really had a good week last week. Don't go slamming these things, expecting me to go 16-4 every week. Be reasonable on this stuff. Andrew can also tell you about, not just bet with your head not over it, but straight even betting, right? Betting the same amount on these games. Don't go too crazy. Don't, I'll tell you what the lock is. If you want to put another $100 on that, that's fine also. But just be smart about the bets. We had a great week last week. That's not going to happen every week. Just want to, put that little caveat on there. I know I'm the greatest. I know I'm the prop king. I love those props. Some of these games are, they're close. So first one we're going to start off with. You ready? We're going to start the Ravens at the Patriots, right? Games in which Lamar Jackson has had 300-plus passing yards and 100-plus rushing yards, 2. Games that every other quarterback in NFL history has had 300-plus yards passing and 103. The Ravens' defense, however, fell apart last week against the Dolphins. Jackson was amazing, 21 of 29, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and rushed 9 times for 119 yards and a score. The blitz gave the Ravens a bunch of issues last year, but when the Dolphins blitzed and rushed 5 or more, Jackson was actually 12 of 14 for 206 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's really, really encouraging because the one thing that scared me about the Patriots was Bill Belichick scheming against a quarterback that he can scheme against and take stuff away. Used to be able to blitz Lamar and give him problems. You can't do it anymore. Nelson Aguilar had a nice touchdown grab last week, and they're winning against the Steelers. But their offense, Andrew, you've said it. They may be one of the worst offenses in the league, and I agree with you. They just don't have a lot of juice. I don't like going against Bill Belichick. I definitely don't like going against Bill Belichick as a home underdog. When you look back at his career, that was not a smart bet to make. Jackson also has an elbow injury, so I got 3 things going against this pick. But the Patriots I just don't see how they get anything done. I think the Ravens go in there. The spread's only 2.5. I think the Ravens win this game by at least that field goal. I just think they have too much firepower.
This line has been steamed, so we're actually doing good on time. So we have 50 minutes.
Yeah, shoot, man.
I gotta give a shout out, man. So Mr. 10.5 Ribs, he's keeping track of all your plays and sending DMs.
Love that guy.
You missed it. Thank you. This opened as a pick, and now it's +3 to the Patriots. So
yeah.
Just something to keep in mind. I'll get you guys the percentage bets in a second.
Yeah, I got my FanDuel right now -2.5, but you're right, it started as a pick'em. So a lot of money is going in on the Ravens on this one, and I tend to agree with it here.
80% of the money, according to my book, on this.
You're going to see that. You're going to see that on a lot of these picks this week, which is always scary, right? Because, usually Vegas knows something, right? Vegas knows something, but to me, Baltimore whiz pulls. I think you're right. I mean, I don't know about the over, and the only reason why I'm a little scared about the over is I don't know what the hell the Patriots do to score. You know what I mean? Like if you think Baltimore is going to be able to put up points, Mac Jones, Andrew likes to affectionately call him noodle arms. He's not going to be able to throw the ball. I mean, it's just not there. I can't rely on those guys. Go ahead.
I think the Patriots win was last week. Like I texted Cage week 1. I said this team's going to struggle to score. I'm not a guy that, I do pay attention to what Vegas does, but I'm a guy that's just, I watch the games, and I just think the Ravens are better on both sides of the ball. I'm not betting this year at all, but that's where I would go and not worry about the line and the game and all that. I don't see the Patriots. I just don't.
I agree. So we're starting off with all of the games that have that crazy money, and this next one is definitely one of them. All the money is on the Dolphins here. You can check. I think it was 75, 80% also, right? And it's because right now the spread is Bills at Dolphins. Last I saw on FanDuel, it was a 6.5 point spread, by the way. It was Bills -6.5 against the Dolphins, and everybody's on the Dolphins, right? So, Dolphins, right? Big comeback win last week. The goal of the season for their new coaching staff was to see what Tua looked like with the right pieces around him, right? The question with the QB is always, is this the guy, right? Can you win with him? Well, I mean, they put some weapons around them. It sure looks like they could win. They managed the game. They were down big. With 44 seconds left, they were even running the balls. Great play calling. Chase Edmonds caught the Ravens by surprise, had a 28-yard run at the end of the game. The coaching staff looks good. They look like they're putting Tua in the best position for him. That said, I mean, I don't think anyone can stop Josh Allen right now. I mean, he just looks like he's playing the game at a different level, right? Their defense a little banged up, right? They got a couple injuries on defense. A lot of their defensive guys didn't practice. But I just think the pressure they're going to get on Tua. There's going to be a couple of turnovers in this game, at least one pick from Tua. And the Bills' offense, I just don't see Miami stopping them. And last week, Miami was down 3 scores to an inferior team and managed to have this furious, wild comeback. I don't see them being able to do that type of a comeback 2 weeks in a row. I think the Bills hit the gas pedal and, are up by a couple scores. If this was 7.5, I'd be a little more concerned about like the backdoor cover, the Bills up by 14 and then, Miami scoring late to make it 7. But it's 6.5. I think the Bills cover this one, but this
4.5.
Oh, 4.5. Excuse me. I think this is one that the Bills.
I want to ask you something, Cage.
Shoot.
Maybe you could go back into your memory bank, 80s, 70s, whenever you started watching sports.
50s, the 50s.
50s. There's quarterbacks that come in with just all the tools. Like Josh Allen has all the tools. 6'5", huge arm, can run. And you have Tua, not a great passer. He doesn't have all like that physical attributes, but he's been a winner through and through. And Deion Sanders said this, right? Tua's a winner. What have you seen when those two meet? Someone who's just a pure winner with someone who has a lot of physical tools.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's the pieces around them that matter. Honestly.
But the pieces sort of seem like they cancel out, right? Like,
right.
You have Stephon Diggs,
yep.
Gabriel Davis. Here you have, I think a big X factor on the Bills that hasn't necessarily been priced in is Von Miller. I think that's an interesting ad that hasn't necessarily been priced in.
Yep. I mean, listen, he wasn't so great last week. I will say that. The difference, I think, on this one is that with a couple years' experience, Tua may be a winner. He hasn't been really forced, other than last week, to come from behind with, like I said, good play calling. He hasn't really been forced to make all of the right calls. Like, I think when you make mistakes like his 2 first-half interceptions last week against a good team, you have a tough time coming back. And your Wiz Pulls, we talked about it, right? I know that the Bills have some injuries on their defense. Okay. I don't think it matters. Like Micah Hyde, Jordan Phillips, Dane Jackson. I know we got a bunch of injuries there, but I just think Tua makes mistakes that the Bills will capitalize on, and the Bills' defense is good enough to not let them get back into the game. This
is a game for me that if I was putting money, it would be either Bills minus 4.5 or Dolphins money line.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I could
watch it come in at Dolphins lose by 3.
I mean, that's what a lot of people are betting on. I mean, the same thing with the next game. So anyway, guys, that's where I am on that one. Bills minus 4.5 on that, and we'll see where it goes. These games are ones. When the analysis comes out that the Bills could win this by 4.5 or the Dolphins could win, bet the money line. Those are not games we're calling locks. That's not a game that you have a huge amount of confidence level on. Can I see, Miami keeping this game close? 100%. 100%. Can I see this being a field goal game? Sure. Same with the next one, by the way. And this is why a lot of money is in on the Colts. Like some people would say this line is terrifying, right? You get the Chiefs at the Colts, Chiefs minus 5.5. The Chiefs are 2-0. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. They're coming off of basically a mini bye, having played last Thursday night. They've had a long time to prepare for this. They're 2-0. The Colts are 0-1-1. They look terrible.
This is a game where I think they run Jonathan Taylor 30 times, though, and they don't keep Mahomes off. They keep Mahomes off the field.
This is why it's scary, right? It's funny. In the first 3 quarters, it's exactly what we talked about, like building up a lead. In the first 3 quarters of their last 2 games, the Colts, so it's 2 weeks in, they've been outscored 44-3 in quarters 1 to 3 by inferior teams. Their left tackle is injured. Their wide receiver is injured. Their defense is not that good. With all that stuff and the fact that if inferior teams blew them out 44-3 in the first 3 quarters of last 2 weeks, what are the Chiefs going to be up on them, right? Why are they only 5.5-point underdogs? I got to tell you, I don't have a good answer other than what you just said. Maybe this is Jonathan Taylor's week to just pound the ball, right. Longer drives, keep him on the bench. Maybe they're playing with some desperation. Maybe I don't know.
What I've seen from this Chiefs defense is they're an opportunistic defense, but they're soft. They give up yards.
Right.
So you give up 5-7 yards to a running back on first down. They're going to move the ball, and maybe the first quarter it's an 8-minute drive that ends in a touchdown. This is a weird line.
I mean, Is it weird to say when you see a too good to be true line, you're supposed to take the other side? I mean, is this one where we're supposed to take the Colts and get those 5.5 points because
I,
everything is just screaming at you, bet the Chiefs?
I have a Mahomes card ending tonight, and I'll tell you, I ended it tonight for a reason, but this game scares me. I would not take the Chiefs. This is not a good situation for me. This is my
So, guys, this is one I would say on the bottom of the confidence list. Like, we are going to get only more confident from this one, bottom of the confidence list. But I have to take the whole noise out and say I don't care what Vegas is saying. I don't care what what the line says. I don't care what Andrew's saying. I don't care what the story is, and I don't care that when the line's too good to be true, you take the other side. On this one here, I mean, I love Jonathan Taylor. I just see the Chiefs just dominating these guys. I mean, all the analysis I just gave says the Chiefs should win this game by double digits. They just should. When they should, they usually don't, which is why I say confidence level on the low side. But I have to make the play on what I think of these teams. I've watched the Chiefs. I've watched Mahomes. I've watched the Colts. I love Jonathan Taylor. He was my fantasy guy last year. Remember when we played fantasy? He was my number one pick in the league, and he, obviously he was great. But yeah, I don't see a world where the Colts keep this one close, and that's probably why Vegas is going to make so much money today. Because I think this is one where so much money is on the Chiefs. I think it was 82% was the last time I looked this morning of the money was on the Chiefs minus 5.5. It's insane.
Yep.
So let's get to some other games.
75. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's get to some other fun games, right? I want to know your take on this before I give a pick. I know we're not doing that, but whatever, it is what it is. It's the Lions at the Vikings. Monday night was a huge disappointment for the Vikings. I mean, defensively, they stayed pretty terrible. They got picked apart. Offensively, Kirk Cousins looked like he had never seen a blitz before in his life. He was 4 for 12 for 22 yards when the Eagles blitzed. He was 3 for 12 for 38 yards against man coverage. And you know what the Lions like to do more than anybody? They like to blitz and play man coverage. I didn't love, Detroit's offense coming into the season, but through 2 weeks, they're actually 6th in efficiency per drive. DeAndre Swift looks good. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Incredible.
I mean, come on, guys. He's no longer a surprise. We were able to capitalize on that last week. They've had some injuries. Jared Goff looks better than he's looked in a while. I know it's a small sample, but is it crazy to think that the Lions plus 5.5 is the way to go here? You tell me.
The Lions are my team. Dude, I love Hart, man. Because at the end of the day, Cage, I think it's us. I don't think I've ever been dealt a lot of talent. So when you see teams come together who are passionate, who love to be there, a lot of athletes, they become pros, they get a paycheck. They're taking care of their family. This Lions team for 2 years, man, they've stuck together even if it was a tough season last year. I'd go Lions plus 6.5. I love teams with heart. I'll go down with it because this in business. When your incentives align, good things can happen. I feel like when you're betting on the lines, that from the first whistle to the last whistle, you're going to get 100%.
The thing that scares me, you're welcome, Gator. The thing that scares me the most about this is the Vikings are a much better team at home. They play well at home. But the Lions, for the last 2 years, they've just kept every game close. So can I see this one with the Vikings winning? Sure. But they win on a last-minute field goal by 2 points. You know what I mean? That's how the Vikings sneak a win out on this one. I love the Lions. The fact that it's up to 6.5 points, it's almost too much to give a team that's scrappy like this. Kobe 2037, I love that Flacco bet. I mean, that might be my favorite one.
Kobe, just to be clear, he was the over
attempts. Yes, over attempts. It's 35 or 35.5 attempts.
Here's my issue, though. I think Kirk Cousins is the biggest loser in the NFL.
Okay.
I really believe that, man. There's nothing that's going to change my mind at this point. He's been doing it for 10 years. He doesn't have what it takes. And
I've seen how much money he's made. He would tell you otherwise with how much money he's made being in the NFL for a decade.
No, but Cage, in him personally, he's winning huge. Yep. But what I mean from this perspective, and this, it's against your theory because when people play for their money, they're hungry. When you're well-fed, right?
Yep. Yeah. Listen, I love it. I think you're 100% right. I think he finds a way to lose games. And Detroit also finds a way to keep games close. So when you combine those two, 6.5 points in a matchup like this, I think you have the Lions starting to do a little bit better. You have the Vikings are basically the team that everybody thought they were, kind of like a middle-of-the-road kind of team.
I also find it funny we wrote off Jared Goff. He was a number one pick for a reason. I don't think he's fantastic, but he was a number one pick for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was traded for Stafford, right? And then Stafford went on to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it is what it is. So it's a lot of fun. Eagles at Commanders. Eagles minus 6.5. Just to put in perspective, the game that Hurts had last week, 3 times in NFL history has a quarterback thrown for 300 or more yards and rushed for 50 yards while completing over 80% of his passes. Lamar did it in Week 5 last year. Josh Allen did it in the wild card round of last year's playoffs, and Jalen Hurts just did it on Monday. That's it. That's it. I mean, those are the 3 times. It shows how the game is changing with high percentage passing, with completion percentage at 80%. It shows that the quarterbacks are throwing and running at the same time. Clearly the best game of Hurts' career. Accurate. Inside the pocket, outside the pocket, had a full command of the offense. The Commanders fell behind 22-0 against the Lions before making it close in the second half. When Wentz has time, he's okay. When he's pressured, he's not. And, I mean, I think they're going to pressure him. And also, the other side of the ball, the Commanders' defense has had way too many miscues. I think Hurts takes advantage of this one. I like scoring in this one. I'd be looking at, the points for both of these teams. I'd be looking at the over. But I have the Eagles minus 6.5, and this is a high confidence pick. I think the Eagles are a significantly better team. I think the Eagles, step on the throat here of their division rivals. They move ahead. They go to 3-0. I think they might go 9-0.
I was going to say, guys, before the season, Cage was first 9 games of the season. Eagles. You said that before the season. There's no reason to get off that bandwagon now.
Yeah, and you got the Giants playing the Cowboys on Monday night. I can't believe it. I'm going to give you my heads up a little. I think the Giants moved to 3-0, which is absurd. But the Giants and the Eagles are completely different teams, right? I mean, it's just they're not even in the same league, let alone the same division. This is the Eagles division to run away with. Give me Hurts. I think they pull away early in the first half and just never look back. Wentz is going to make a lot of mistakes. Your Cowboys are going to lose this week, missed 10.5. The Cooper Rush Cinderella story is a 1-week story. We'll get there. Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. We're going to go 2 high-confidence picks in a row here.
I'm going Jets here, man.
Well, I've already told you my theory of how this game goes, which is why I like Flacco's attempts. I think the Jets just get blown out. I think this game has all of the makings for, I got Cincinnati minus 4.5, and I'll tell you why the line is what it is. The Bengals are 0-2. The Jets just came off of a win. Silly, right? This is one where had the Bengals not had their mishaps with their kickers and long snappers and the whole deal, they could be coming into this 2-0. And had the Jets not have that 1-in-a-million 2-touchdown comeback against the Browns, they would not be the team coming to this game with a win, and the spread would be 7.5. So this is funny, right? So you want to talk about why you think?
Yeah, can I talk about this real quick?
Yeah, please.
So last year, guys, at this time when we started the show, I was living in Tulum, Mexico. Amazing place, gorgeous women, gorgeous food, gorgeous weather, but terrible infrastructure. On this day, this time last year, my power went out, so I had to scramble and I had to go to a cafe to do the show. I don't know if you remember this. And I was so high on the Bengals. I said, the Bengals are going to crush the Jets team, blow out, all that stuff. Last year, the 1-4 Jets, no, the 1-5 Jets beat the 5-2 Bengals, 34-31. Basically the exact same Bengals team. Jets, new quarterback. I am interested. This is an interesting game. I wouldn't have a pick on this. Is it revenge? Or is it possible you have the hangover after the Super Bowl with a terrible offensive line that the Bengals start 0-3?
Yeah, my thoughts on this one are Burrow is taking way too many sacks, and they're going to have to fix that, and I don't know how they fix it right off the bat. The easiest way for me is that you got 34-31.
I was showing them that they
last
weren't
year's
winless.
game.
They were 1-5 at that time versus 5-2.
My my pick on this one is the coaching staff has to find a way to keep Burrow standing during the game. I think Joe Mixon has a hell of a game. I think there's screen passes. I think there's get rid of the ball in the first 2 seconds. I think there's quick crossing routes for Jamar Chase, maybe even some, instead of going out for a pass for Chase, one step back and they just throw it to him quickly. I think there's going to be a lot of that. I don't think the Jets can keep up with that. I think the best the Jets were ever going to do, we saw in the last 2 minutes of last week. I love the theories. I love the talk of last year. I love it. But keep in mind, it is Joe Flacco, right? It is the Jets. I love their running backs, but they keep drafting a new one every year. I love their offensive weapons. I do. I can't see the Bengals going to 0-3. I just don't see it. And for me, the Bengals are more than 5 points better than the Jets. Flacco got a Super Bowl, don't sleep. Yes, so does Trent Dilfer. Doesn't make him a good quarterback. Just means there was a good defense helping him there. Mr. 10.5. I love that guy. Listen. You could be right. If the Jets scheme up some pressure,
I would take Flacco over Kirk Cousins any day of the weekend, twice on a Sunday.
Yeah, Flacco's going to be throwing the ball all over the place. So he's going to have more than 35.5 attempts. To me, this one, high confidence level. The Bengals are just a significantly better team. They will find a way. They play decent defenses. They will find a way to keep Burrow standing long enough, whether it's just quicker passes or whatever it is, where I think the Bengals, this is the week where they have to get right. So it's funny stuff. All right, a fun game here. Jaguars at the Chargers.
Opened at -10. I'm seeing -3.5. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, listen, last night it was -6.5, right? And now it's like -4. It's insane.
I don't agree with a quarterback being worth that much, by the way. And
listen, I like the Jaguars. When this game was 10, I was picking the Jaguars. When this game was 6.5, I was picking the Jaguars. I just don't know at 3, 3.5, 4, whether or not that's the way to go, right? Trevor Lawrence, let's just go through the analysis of the teams and the games, and then we'll make our pick at the end. But because of this moving line, is Herbie actually out of the game? Like, this is the thing, right? So this is a later game, right? What time does this game start?
4:25.
So this is one where you're going to have to not make the pick almost until you figure out what happens here and if Herbert's playing or not playing. Lawrence looked really good against the Colts last week. And yeah, shoot.
6.5 points for a quarterback? You agree with that?
I do. Who's their backup?
Chase Daniel.
Yeah, so that's why.
6.5 points, though?
Yeah.
That's a lot of points. That's a touchdown.
It's a huge, huge difference, right? Chase Daniel.
Okay.
It's a huge, listen,
a wide receiver's out, it moves a 0.5 point to 1 point.
A wide receiver is a wide receiver. The quarterback, this is the NFL. It's a quarterback league. The quarterback decides everything. The quarterback is who everyone invests in. You want the ball in the right player's hands. It's Herbert or Chase Daniel. You tell me. That's clearly worth the touchdown.
Cannabis.
What's funny about it is Staley's already kind of coaching like he has Chase Daniel at quarterback already. Why people loved him, he was an analytics quarterback last year. He was the NFL's most aggressive coach on fourth down. He went for it. He had Herbert back there. He went for it on fourth down. He trusted his quarterback. And, you saw it in the Raider game, right? How many fourth downs did he make last year? You trust your guy. You have a stud back there. You trust me to do it. But against the Chiefs in week 2, he punted twice in Kansas City territory and kicked a field goal on a 4th and 2. I don't know what happened here. He was one of these like analytics, nerd favorites, and he went down, right? So here's the thing, right? At 3.5, I almost have to pick the Chargers. At 7, I gotta go Jaguars. So it's an interesting thing here, right? I think the Jaguars keep it close enough.
This is an easy one for me. This is Chargers win by 2 touchdowns for me. They have a better team.
With the spread the way it is now, at 3, go with the Chargers. It's a 3-point spread. You have to. You know what I mean? Like, the Chargers are a much better team. That said,
you're getting a lot of value. Here's my opinion. I don't think that any player in the league is worth 6.5 points at all. It could be the best quarterback in the league. But let's even take that as
I do.
Let's separate that. I think a quarterback is 4 points on average. 6.5 is a lot. But let's not even go there. Let's talk about the Jacksonville. You think, and you've seen, Trevor Lawrence should be on the run more, right? On the move more.
Yeah.
Do they 100%. Do that, Cage?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. So the team that they're playing doesn't even know how to use their quarterback in the best position. Now you look at the defense. Khalil Mack, Bosa. That defense is intense. That defense knows that today, with Herbert out, they're going to have to step up, right?
Yep.
You have Austin Eckler. You have, what's the big wide receiver they have?
Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, but Allen's
Mike
been
Williams.
injured. Mike Williams is awesome.
Dude, they have all the weapons. The quarterback just has to stand in there and get the ball to the right weapons and let the defense win the game. I see it like a 24-10 game is where I'd say it.
Here's the fun that I say on this one, right? I think the Chargers are going to win the game, but here's why. It's less about Herbert, not Herbert, you name it. Trevor Lawrence is not that guy yet. He cannot go out there and win you a game, but he will make sure he doesn't lose you a game. Let me explain. In last week's game, he looked great against the Colts because the coaches were able to call a safe game for him. They were up. He managed the game. He made the right throws. They didn't have to make him throw downfield. They didn't have to put him into spots to make the plays. He's not a guy yet. And he may turn into it, but right now at this point in his career, he's not making those comeback type of plays. He's not going to go from 2 touchdowns down and get you back into a game. He can manage a game. He can keep you ahead. He can make sure that you preserve a lead, which is what he was able to do against the Colts last week. If the Chargers go up on you, he makes mistakes, compounds it, makes it worse. So I think I'm with you on this one. I think I'd go Chargers, but I'm really paying attention to it up until game time and see what happens. You know,
okay, it's even better that Herbert's out. And here's why. Think about this. Before the season, this team is Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
You have 52 fucking guys on a team, not one quarterback. Super Bowl, your quarterback goes out. This is early in the season when a team needs to step up.
Yep.
Am I wrong? Like, this is when the other 51 guys are going to be like, yo, we're the Super Bowl team. Let's win this game without our guy. So when our guy comes back, we really are that Super Bowl team.
Yeah. Listen, I think you're onto something there.
And off a loss, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on it. I definitely
blowout. Jags suck, and they're going on the West Coast.
They don't suck, but they don't.
Jags suck.
They're not a team that's going to go out there and win a game. Whereas the Chargers will. I like your theory. Go out there and win for Herbert. They got him hurt, so you might as well go out there and win. This might be my favorite game of the week. You ready? The Packers at the Bucks. Packers at the Bucks. I mean, this is Roger.
Can I get some numbers? He's so fast today, man. You're so fast. You had a lot of soda this morning. Yeah, I see it. Opened at plus 3.5 Cage, down to +1, even though most of the money is on the Bucks. 58% of the money is on the Bucks, and the line is going down.
100% right. So you got the Bucks -1 here, right? They don't have Mike Evans. This is Rodgers against Brady. So you'd expect fireworks. And yet, I like this one for a late in the day, same game parlay of Bucks. But I love the under. It's only 42. But this is Bucks defense all day. Rodgers hasn't clicked with his offense yet. He hasn't got the young guys going. The running game hasn't gotten started. And you see Brady is not making any plays. He's got no Godwin. He got no Evans. I mean, it's an interesting matchup. You would never think it's Bucks, it's Brady, it's Packers, it's Rodgers, and the word under would ever kind of come out. But I think it is. I think that the Bucks try to control it with their running game. And
Gage,
give
how can they suspend a player in the most physical sport for fighting when in hockey they fight all the fuck time?
Part of the rules. Different rules. Can't do it.
It's the most physical sport, but then there's a fight, you're going to suspend someone for a game?
Listen, the Bucks are great. I think this is going to be a frustrating game for both quarterbacks, right? I think Brady doesn't have a great game because he doesn't have a great wide receiver play. I mean, because they're out, suspended, and injured. But so far, Tampa Bay has shown this year that they'll win the game in a weird way. Right, they'll find a way to win it. There'll be field goals. They'll be scrappy. There'll be defense. They'll create turnovers. This one here, like you said, it's gone down to 1, right? And Julio's.
This is called reverse line movement. When a majority of the money is on the Bucks, up 60% now, and it started at -3.5. I'm seeing it -1. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, that's what I
Pick
have.
'em.
1.5. If you have one, I'll take it because that's where I'm going. So nice and easy. But I would go Bucks all the way up to a field goal on this one. I think the Bucks win this game. It's ugly. It's going to be an ugly game. There might be no scoring in the first quarter. You know what I mean? So there's a reason why the over under is in the low 40s, right? Because I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think both of these teams get into the 20s.
Wow.
So we're going back to a confidence pick here. I happen to love this one. I'll let you do whatever numbers you like. I'm talking about the Rams
I'm
at
saying
the
the
Cardinals.
Cardinals. You love the Rams, don't you?
I do.
Rams.
So
He's
go ahead and
Rams,
give me you want to give you numbers? Who's betting what? Who's the whole deal? This is a high confidence pick. One of
58% on the Rams. Opened at -2, went to -3.5.
Yep, I have it at -3.5 exactly. This one here, I mean, come on, Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know what he's doing out there. Why I like this is I watched the entire Cardinals game last week. The Raiders were the significantly better team, but you had Kyler in a hamster wheel, just pulling plays out of his butt, 4th and 1, basically, So the Cardinals come into this off of a win with a great comeback, but it was so disorganized. As a matter of fact, if you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't know this, but they were down 8. They scored a touchdown on 4th down, and then they lined up for the 2-point conversion and got a delay of game penalty on a 2-point conversion to tie the game with no time left on the clock. Like, how does a coach allow that? How does an offense allow that? This is your game. It's one play. You got to get 3 yards. Now you got to get 8. Like, they should never have gotten it. Of course, they got it. But it just shows you the dysfunction of the team. They wasted timeouts. The clock management was terrible. I mean, just crazy. So, to me, on the other side, it's not like the Rams played, a flawless, an errorless, football last week. They blew a big lead to the Falcons, and they really haven't been their best team through 2 games. Obviously, the Bills beat up on them, but I mean, these guys played in the playoffs last year. It wasn't even a competitive game. I think the Rams, they took their beating against Buffalo. They also will learn a lesson that you can't just, take your foot off the gas against a team like the Falcons. I think this is when the Rams go up and don't look back. They keep the offense moving. It's 3.5. I think the Rams win this one big. I just don't think that Kyler has what he needs, especially with no Hopkins still, to stick with this Rams team. So this one is a high confidence play. Give me the Rams -3.5. Anything on that one? No? All right. Is it fair to say in your mind that week 1 was the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl?
I saw some stuff come out this week about the feud with Russ and Pete Carroll. Mm-hmm. And it was, remember there was like that whole let Russ cook movement on social media when he had started, we were like, Russ always starts hot. It's interesting when you find out players are playing for personal accolades versus team wins. And I was surprised to hear that Russ was that guy. It was very surprising. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was some stuff coming out with that. So I don't think the Seattle's very good, but that was interesting to shed a little light into the whole Russ situation with Pete Carroll.
I mean, this one here, from my prop play how I think this game's going to go, and it's a 1-point spread, right? So from our Cordaro Patterson play that I think this is going to be Falcons running the ball early, often, and Patterson going well over that 41-yard mark, right?
Opened at 3.5. I'm seeing 70% of the money on the Falcons. Now it's at Pick'em.
Yeah, I mean, Pick'em. Give me the Falcons. And, I mean, this is one here where I think the Seahawks are happy with their season just beating Russell Wilson. I don't think they have to win another game, right? Let's go through these guys. So, obviously, they got that win in week 1. But in week 2, lost to the Niners. The Seahawks ran a total of 47 plays and had 216 yards of offense. That is anemic, to say the least, in today's NFL. And I know you got Geno Smith, and he's got trademarks. He got all kinds of fun stuff. But all of the metrics, all of the analytics that are out there just say the Seahawks are a bad team. I know it's only 2 games, but they rank 26th in offense per drive, and they rank 31st on defense. Now, the Falcons haven't been much better, which is why it's a pick'em game. They've been the tale of 2 weeks. Week 1, they blew their lead. They blew the game against the Saints. And week 2, they staged this massive comeback against the Rams only to fall just shy. So they've had 2 losses in complete polar opposite ways of losing the game. They haven't got Kyle Pitts involved. He's had 4 catches for 38 yards on 10 total targets in 2 games. You know he's going to see some action today. If you want to throw a little, pepper sprinkle, like Andrew says, sprinkle a little bit of money in on a Pitts prop for receptions, you probably get a good number on it because he's only had a couple catches in the first 2, and this team only goes as far as he goes. Cordero Patterson running the ball. This is going to be ground game. It's going to be, manage the clock. It's going to be Falcons winning. It's a pick 'em. Give me the Falcons. Nice and easy. Confidence on that one. Some of the other ones, not so much. Confidence on that one, 100%. 100%. Give me the Falcons. Another one you can give some numbers on. It's the Saints at the Panthers. What do you got? Anything fun on the betting?
Saints. That's next week, sorry.
It's okay. Saints at Carolina Panthers.
55% of the money on the Panthers. It opened at +1. Now it's +2. Sort of like kind of irrelevant line movement from 1 to 2.
Yeah. It's funny. It was 1, 2. I actually, as of this morning, FanDuel has the Panthers getting 3 points, which is interesting, right? Because that's a big number. When I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm going Panthers. Winston's on the injury report with back and ankle injuries. He's coming off a game in which he had 6 sacks and threw 3 interceptions, right? Here's what's fun. This is, a crazy stat. If nothing else, we'll give you crazy stats on this show. You ready? The Panthers are 1-25 under Matt Rule when they give up 17 points or more. Can you believe that? If you allow 17 points, which is not a huge number, but if you give up 17 points, their offense can't beat the other team.
It makes no sense. They have weapons.
It's pretty crazy, right? They have weapons. They haven't. You know the last time they won a game? They won November 14th of 2021. So you know what this means, guys? This means they're due. And Wiz, I think you said it, dog or pass. I love that. Absolutely love it, right? Because this is an impossible game to pick. I wish I could bet against myself here and say, might as well pick the Saints. But this one here, I got the Panthers actually getting 3 points. I think that's huge because I don't see the Saints blowing them out. And I think you're right. I think this is one of those weird games where it's dog or pass. And I think Baker may get his first win here. I think I saw that in the chat, and give me those Panthers, give me those points. I like it. So here we go. You ready? My favorite team. I said this every week last year, and I'll say it again here. Sometimes my analysis on the Raiders has to be taken with whole shakers of salts, guys, because I am a Raider fan. So if you're putting your money on it, my heart goes into these Raider games a little bit more. It's sometimes difficult to separate the emotion when I do my Raiders play. So I throw that out there for you guys just to make sure that you know. This is Raiders and Titans. So we're about to get up to Raiders Titans. If you want to look up some numbers on that, that's great. I was just giving everyone the caveat, making sure they all know that I am a Raider fan.
Are the Raiders 0-2?
Yeah, the Raiders are. The Raiders are
65% of the money on the Raiders. It opened as a pick'em, and now it's Raiders -2. Basically a pick'em with most of the money on the Raiders.
Yeah, listen, on this one here, I have...
This has got to be Raiders.
FanDuel this morning, 1.5. Remember, I tell you guys, obviously I go where I go, but I am a Raider fan, so throw that in there. Going into the season, I wanted to see what Josh McDaniels would do, right? He's an X and O's kind of, coach now, right? We got to find out now. The Raiders are 0-2. That last week loss was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was just...
Are they doing the right thing? So here's my logic. Tell me if I'm wrong or right. The second stint, right? So I think he knows early in the season the games matter less than building the right habits. Do you think that they're doing the right things and they just got a little unlucky?
No.
You think they're doing the wrong things?
No. Listen, it's funny. Under Gruden, the fourth quarter was the big deal, and they were always close in the fourth quarter, but the team seemed to be gassed. And I always said that it was like maybe a conditioning thing. Maybe there was a problem there that they had all these close games and they would lose them. And last year I had more confidence because, in the last 7 games, they won 6 of them. They found a way to muster up that energy and win those close games in the fourth quarter. And what we're seeing here is they kept it close against the Chargers, but fell short. And then they basically just allowed the Cardinals to, steal their lunch in the fourth quarter of the game last week. So it's almost falling back to the old kind of like pattern. That said, I came into the year saying this. I didn't think the Raiders were that good last year. I was shocked that they got into the playoffs. They won the close games, which is a coin toss. I mean, it's a heads or tails. It's a coin flip, right? It doesn't surprise me that the Raiders kind of come back to earth this year because they were, in my opinion, a middle of the road team in a very good division. I mean, the Chargers are better than them. The Chiefs are better than them. They're the third best team in their division. It's hard to predict a team like that can be a playoff team. That said, I could say the same exact thing for the Titans. You love the Titans. They are not the same team.
Last year.
Yeah, they are not the same team as last year. You know what I mean? That was your team, right? And it was because they were coached well. Derrick Henry was able to run the ball. They were able to do their thing, and Tannehill was managing games. I mean, this year, just to go back to this on the Raiders and then Tennessee, Adams had 2 catches, left the locker room early. We talked about this. If you want to sprinkle a little money on an Adams prop, I would probably do it. Maybe Adams goes off in this game. The Raiders get their first win. It's tough. The coach has got to keep everybody, in the same direction. Somebody has to win. This is 2 teams with no wins here. But the Titans got killed by the Bills on Monday night, right? And they had some injuries to a couple of guys, left tackle, Taylor Lewan, and their edge rusher, Bud Dupree. I think the Raiders are the better team. They're a more talented team. And I think the Titans, this might be the year where, we start seeing the end of Tannehill. He was good enough. I was going to
ask, do you think the team was... Have you watched a lot of Malik Willis or not too much?
I watched him in college. I don't think he's that guy. But I think he's better than Tannehill. I don't think he's like stud, like let's go out.
You think he is better than Tannehill, though?
Yes. Yeah, I think he can actually make plays. Tannehill doesn't really make plays.
Tannehill, but you know how that works, right? Yeah. Like in training camp, if you see one quarterback who's the starter and the backup is better, I mean, sometimes the team is like, yo, let's give this guy a shot.
Yep. Yeah, no. I mean, I think the team does want to give him a shot. I think the team thinks that, that this guy is somebody who can actually make plays. The thing is, the bad part about that is they don't need a quarterback to make plays. They should just be Derrick Henry all night and all day. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the rumblings are ready to start. Get Pickett out there instead of Trubisky. Get Willis out there instead of Tannehill. Everybody likes to, let's see what we have with our new young quarterback. This one for me, it just comes down to, I know I'm a Raider fan, but the Raiders are the more talented team. Their defense is nuts. They should give fits to Tannehill. They should find a way to keep Henry in check, although that's easier said than done. This could also be a day where Henry starts to actually rip off some runs. Preseason bowl predictions, I had him, running for nearly 2,000 yards. Remember him and Jonathan Taylor.
You know this. Physical running backs start to wear down.
They do. They do. They don't do it for too long.
You even saw a few hits last week, right, where he was taking the hit instead of delivering the hit.
Yep. I mean, it's what happens. By the way, it's what makes me most concerned about Josh Allen for a long term. I think he's great this year. I think he's great next year. I think he might be great the year after. But eventually, that style of play, it does wear down, a QB, especially when
Year 2 case here as well, right?
100%. And you need QB is here. Texans at the Bears. This is a fun one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and the numbers.
What is fun about this? This is the antithesis of fun.
I got a trivia question.
This is a collectible episode to me.
That's funny. So we only have a couple more games. I'll get through this one quick. But I'm going to give away, I'll open a pack for somebody who gets the answer to this one first. I'll open a pack and I'll send you the 3 cards that we pull out of the pack. Who can guess how many, now we're betting that Flacco is going to have more than 35 and a half attempts himself today. Who can tell me through 2 games, through 2 weeks, how many passes the Bears have attempted?
27.
Total passes in 2. That's not correct. I'm looking. The
Bettner, we will. I saw your message. We will.
I'm looking. You guys are close. Higher than you, Light Bright Mellow, but lower than you, Gems Only. So it's between 18 and 37.
Did you see Probstein's giveaway? Pick 2 players, put them in the comments, pick their yards. You can't go over, and if you're within 5 yards, I'm going to give you an Iverson jersey.
All right, that was pretty cool. So we are higher than 24 and lower than 30. 28, Light Bright Mellow, you get it. 28, can you believe that? 28, that's 24 less than any other team. Now, obviously, the first week they were playing in the crazy, San Francisco game with the slip and slide, and then they were also in the Green Bay game and the whole 9 yards. I mean, they've thrown 28 passes. The Jets have thrown 104. I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? Obviously, they played in bad weather both nights, you name it. But Justin Fields attempted last week 11 passes. I mean, come on. Even if the Bears get a lead in this one, which I don't know if that happens, it's not exactly, something that I would bet on that they're going to go out there and stomp them. They don't run away with it. They just don't do it. They're not a runaway team. The Texans 0-1-1. They've actually been close in both of their games, right? I mean, they've been competitive. Their offense isn't doing a whole ton, but their defense has kept them in games. I mean, this is one. Yeah, shoot, man.
Revenge game for Lovey?
Maybe. I mean, Lovey's going out there saying he's going to run the ball. He's going to run the ball. You know what I think? I think Davis Mills is not on the same level as these other rookie QBs, even though people are paying money for him. But he plays well. He doesn't make mistakes.
Chip on the shoulder, too, a little, right?
Yeah, I mean, comes in with a little bit of a chip. I think Cooks has a great game. This is one where, I mean, I have the Texans getting 2.5. I think the Texans can win, right? I think this is one where if you want a little fun one and you can get decent money, like maybe a plus 150, 160, get the Texans money line on this. I think Texans win this game. So, could the Bears win? Sure. I mean, this is why the spread's only 2.5. But I mean, this is one on the lower end of your confidence, picks. But this is one where if you want to have a little fun, I think Texans win the game. But give me the Texans. Yeah,
for
shoot.
2 years, the Texans for this 19 games, the Texans have overachieved. They know they're probably not the most talented team, but I think they play hard almost every single game. Like, I think eventually you can't be like, oh, it's just one game. Like, they played hard for a season and now carrying into this.
And listen, the QB's good. He is not going to throw for, 500 yards and go out there and win you a game, but he's also not losing the games. He makes the plays that he needs to play.
Who would you comp Davis Mills to? Who would be your, like, Davis Mills comp? Throw it in the comments, too.
Stafford? Stafford is a good one, right? You give him a good weapon, he's out there doing it. He's never going to be the flashy guy that you look at, and but he's a guy who could stay in the league, and if you put the right weapons around him, he can win. Matt Ryan's not a terrible one either.
Matt Ryan was good for a long time.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's not a terrible comp. I would take that if I were him. I mean, he's not like a Carson Wentz or anything like that. He's not making mistakes. He doesn't have happy feet back there. So good comp, Southpaw Slabs. Niners at the Broncos.
This is a good game. It's a good game. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of variables to this game.
The Broncos coach, this guy Hackett, who kind of came out of nowhere, because I watched a lot of the Broncos game last week. There was one sequence where it was like 3rd and 1 in the third quarter. They ran a fullback option with, I think that fullback's name was like Beck. I mean, the guy never touches the ball. He gets stopped for a loss. And then on 4th and 2, we're going to go for it. All right, we're going to go for it. Then he changed his mind, which kept happening in the game. Brandon McManus, their kicker, comes on the field. And, I mean, he's late. He's got to run out there. He drills a 54-yard field goal. And you're like, all right, wow, nice play. Only one problem. Because this guy changed his mind about going for it and sending his team out there, the play clock expired. So the Broncos went from going for it on 4th and 2 to trying a field goal to having to punt because of a delay of game penalty. It was basically exactly what you would show a coach not to do in Pop Warner football, not what you'd expect to see from a head coach in the NFL. It doesn't give me any real confidence in the Broncos team that is who's leading them. That's the captain, of the ship there. I mean, the after that, the Broncos fans, if you were watching the game, they started counting out loud. Instead of cheering, go Broncos, go, they were counting down the play clock in the 4th quarter so that they didn't have
do you think this is one of those things where you get a Russell Wilson type of guy, and first year you think huge expectations, nothing happens, they fire the coach, they bring in the guy that Russ wants, and next year Russ cooks? It's like 1 year deferred, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is. Everybody has high expectations for him. He comes in, he can basically just kind of coast and say, well, look, I mean, you put me in this situation. It's kind of happy, So I could see that. And on the other side of the coin, I see this team rallying around Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, talk about a guy who said nothing, just sat there, Let the contract come to him. Let the team come to him. You already saw all the craziness. I posted some of it. I posted it in my story about how team was rallying around him. The teammates say he's better. The team is better off without him and all that other fun stuff, right? Like that's gonna galvanize the team. And this is the quarterback that took you to the precipice of the Super Bowl again last year. Took you to the Super Bowl already. I think that
Alex Smith reincarnated.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo can get them to the Super Bowl. He did it, right? And I love the Niners defense. So to me, this one was pretty easy. It's only 1.5. The Denver team is dysfunctional. Give me the Niners. Give me the Niners minus 1.5. That brings us to the last game, right on time. Before we do that, Andrew, do you have a trivia question lined up, or I will?
Yes, I have a trivia question.
Nice.
What is Cage doing at 12:30 Eastern? That's so important.
I'm going to a card show with my son.
810 episodes with this guy, guys. He's a rare breed. He's a rare breed.
See, nothing in the world more important than that.
Yeah, the goal was for them to answer Cage.
Yeah.
Give yourself a pack. Take
Nothing.
a pack. Take a pack.
I'm going to take a pack. Yes. That was your trivia question? Ask a real trivia question. Come on now.
What's Cage doing on a sports car show?
Yeah, I mean, come on. You're supposed to ask real trivia questions, like how many liters are in this 2-liter bottle? I mean, I ask real trivia questions.
Some real tough ones there, guys.
Or like the quarterback who replaced Dak.
What is the name of the person on Cage's shirt? The kid that is on Cage's shirt, what is his name?
Oh, that's a great one. That is a great question. Good for you. She rips, nails it. Collective Indie, you got it all. So
anything movie related, Cage is like, that's the best question I've ever heard.
Best question ever. Nice job.
Let me talk about Chunk.
Bonus pack if anybody, without Googling it, could tell me the actor's name, because that would be great. I remember at Min Collective, I picked up an autograph of this guy. So She Rips and Collective Indie, you guys send me.
She Rips, I believe, is from Philly. But I sent her an Iverson card. I think she's a Philly fan, if I'm correct.
There you go.
I think her daughter is also a Philly fan. If I'm not mistaken, I am. Apologies.
Send me your Panini, your Panini digital blockchain nickname, and we'll open a pack. Send you everything that's in the pack. 1 card, 3 cards. There are different packs with different stuff in it. But whatever it is, you might get something really good in there. We'll rip it and we'll send it to you. Just follow me, Cagelawyer on Instagram, and send me your Panini blockchain nickname. And Mr. 10.5, you got the right movie. So yeah, I'll send you something too. Just send me a Panini blockchain name. I sent you a Niner last time. Yep, Niners. We'll see if there's Niners in the packs. If not, She Rips, remind me about the Niners, and I'll send you some more Niners. I got a bunch of Debo stuff in my account.
You're gonna do a giveaway because they guessed that is from the Goonies, even though that
just
because
I like Mr. 10.5 and he's helping us out and doing all that stuff, right? He's sending out the picks to people, and he's charging them $100 each for the Cage plays because I'm not allowed. It's all free.
Anyone who how I love people who take initiative. I'll never hate on that.
Exactly. We'll send you some stuff. Make Andrew do the truffle shuffle, She Rip says. All right, so the Cowboys at the Giants, guys. I can't bet the Cowboys. I'm sorry. I know we got Cowboys fans in here, right? This is XX Real 1. I think you're 100% right. We saw the best we're ever going to see out of Cooper Rush. He was efficient last week in his win against the Bengals. But I think that the Giants' blitzing, aggressive defense is going to be a problem for him. You also have Jerry Jones out there being an idiot. Although what's he supposed to say? The press said, "Hey, do you want a quarterback controversy?" Because Cooper Rush won last week against the Bengals, and he's like, "Of course I do," because that means that this guy's playing great. It means I have a situation like I had when Prescott came in and replaced Romo. And you're like, what the hell is wrong with this idiot? He's like, yeah, if he's playing that good, I'll walk to New York to have that kind of play. I'm like, just say nothing. Like, what, you're an idiot. But this one here, I feel like it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a low scoring game. I mean, it's going to be, the Giants seem to not be able to get anything beyond 3rd and 5 done, and the Cowboys look just as bad. The Giants make some decent plays. So what's funny is I think they get it done, but Parsons on defense is a nightmare. I mean, that guy is great. I mean, going to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year almost every year, probably for the next decade. Probably wins 3 or 4 of them. He's going to be all over Barkley. And the Giants have looked good because Barkley has looked good. Parsons is going to be a shadow on him. But I just don't think the Cowboys offense can do anything. I can't believe I'm saying this because there's no way I would have bet on this in the beginning of the year, but I think the Cowboys I think the Giants go to 3-0. If they had Dak, there's no way. They don't have Dak. They're dysfunctional. Their offense is garbage. I think the Giants just blitz the hell out of Cooper Rush. And it's not that I think the Giants are good or that their offense gets a lot done. I think there's going to be, I mean, you might see a game here where Cooper Rush is sacked like 8 times. It's ugly. So give me the Giants, -1.
I'm an Eagles fan. But I got to tell you, I feel Dak's someone I just feel bad for.
Who? Cooper Rush?
Dak.
Oh, Dak.
I want to root for the guy. He's a likable dude. And he's it always feels like he's like one step away and he gets unlucky again. One step away and gets unlucky.
Mr. 10.5. Daniel Jones, Grace Jones, Indiana Jones. Give me the Cowboys by 4.5. I love it. I mean, look, Cowboys fans, I mean, this is the spread's 1 for a reason. I could see it going a lot of different ways. This isn't one I put on the top 5 of the confidence charts or anything like that. But, you know, Cooper Rush is not going to go out there and win 2 straight games. I don't see it. He's Cooper Rush. You know, I mean, he's not somebody who's supposed to be starting in the NFL. Not the Daniel Jones.
Cooper's a badass name. So look, give us
Cooper.
Is that all the games?
That is all the games. Cooper the Duck is what Ian says.
Does Ian have any plays for us?
Ian, do you have any plays? I don't even think he looked. Did you look at any of the plays? What do you think? Ian says never pick the Raiders again. I made him watch that week last week against the Cardinals. He's like, we are never picking this team ever again. I tortured him. He had to watch them go down in flames.
Ariel, my sister saw the picture you posted yesterday. She said, Ian looks like he got so strong, and he looks like he got so big.
He's getting tall. The Bengals, he likes the Bengals. He thinks the Bengals are going to win that game easy, which is good. That's what I have.
Bengals are going to lose a lot of people a lot of money this year.
So, guys, I mean, you know, with the props, if you want me to go over them one more time, I can. You know, and we just did all the picks and the plays. Obviously, I don't have to go over them because Mr. 10.5 has them. Guys, go follow Mr. 10.5, and he can send you the picks and the plays if you want them. Mr. 10.5, send me the picks and the plays. That way I have them, and then we'll post them. It's a lot of fun. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I have, let's see what I have here.
The props here are Tua over an interception, A.J. Brown over yards.
Yeah, I can go through them. Dude, if you want, if that's what you want me to do. The props today are Flacco over 35.5 passing attempts.
Yes.
The Brandon Cooks over 60.5 receiving yards. It is Cordero Patterson over 41 rushing yards. It is A.J. Brown over 71 receiving yards. And it is Tua will throw an interception. It's over 1/2 of an interception.
I know you got to go.
Shoot.
Are we going back to the well with the wide receiver? I can never say his name on Detroit Lions.
Amon-Ra St. Brown or Amon-Ra. What is his? I didn't even look because I just figured they corrected it. You know what I mean? Like last week it was 63, and I said, you know, give it a week or two and it's going to be 78.
Would you play it at 85?
Is it 85?
Tell us in the comments if you guys know. But this is 8 or 9 weeks dating back to next season where he's just on a tear. I think he gets over 10 targets, like 8, in those 9-week stretches.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's it really is. The guy is good, and he is their offense. So it would be very difficult to go against him. It just would.
Get to the show. Enjoy. I know you want
Mr. 10.5, you're the man. People are asking for and he's just DMing them. Mr. 10.5, we appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. You got all the picks, all the plays, all the fun. Anything else? All right.
What are you buying at the show? What are you trading for? What are you getting?
There's a wrestler there who's signing autographs. His name's Tatanka, so that's cool. We got to get in there and actually, you know, sign. Plus, I got later. I take my daughter to a birthday party, so I got to, you know, hang out with my son a little bit here now. I'm trying to piece out the day. You know, make sure everybody gets a little bit of time and stuff like that. So
there you guys have it. So gives you place. He wants to watch the games. 2
bring
kids.
A figure and get it signed. Yeah, there you go. He's gonna find all the.
Peace. That was pretty good, right?
That was like a very spitty elephant. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Fun time as always. The chat loves it. They love the elephant.
A 1 out of 10.
Your
How was my
elephant?
elephant?
7.5. Strong, solid 7.5.
X real too. Peace.